Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's episode of the Morning Report. I'm your host, Judell. Look, pretty choppy day in the markets. We've seen Microsoft pull back a little bit. Micron continues to head higher, despite every technical indicator looking like it's oversold. It's just on such a tear up. And in general, pretty mixed day. S&P 500 overall is up 0.1%, meaning, yes, technically it is another all-time high day for the index. Dow up 0.5%. Chip makers across the board up 6%. But yes, overall, a very choppy session, not a whole lot to comment on. The indexes across the globe are looking pretty positive, even the Aussie, which generally isn't the case over the last couple of months. We do have Australian GDP numbers coming out at 11:30 a.m. today, so keep an eye out for that. But technicals are looking fairly strong across the board for indexes. Looking at commodities, relatively flat, apart from uranium, had a nice little run, up 5.68%. And across the week, copper, crude, and uranium kind of in the limelight at the moment. Bitcoin has had a pretty significant drop, and a lot of that is due to MicroStrategy changing their strategy. They've had a change in strategy, or they're actually called strategy now, and the strategy has changed. Initially, the strategy was to accumulate as much Bitcoin as possible, and now they're taking a bit more of an actively managed approach. They made their first Bitcoin sale of 35 or 32 Bitcoin. Don't quote me on that, but around there, they made their first sale of Bitcoin in the history. So they've always said we're never going to sell Bitcoin, and we're always going to accumulate. It is a relatively small sale in the grand scheme of things, but it might set a bit of a further precedent, which has caused Bitcoin to take a bit of a tumble. It looked like it was almost about to break out of the range of this 70K to 60K mark, but this has kind of pushed it back into, looking at the chart, pushed it back into pretty significant support. So if we were to zoom out in another chart, which I don't have available, you'd see there's pretty historic support around these levels. Look, I wouldn't be selling here. I think that if you are into the idea of Bitcoin, then you probably have pretty big balls to start off with, and you'd hope anyway that you've scaled in a level where you're comfortable with. You don't want to be overexposed to this asset, but it's definitely worth having as part of your portfolio. Fantastic hedge against inflation, but in general, we are on the lower end of the range here. So historically, not the best time to sell. But with that being said, it's a very volatile asset, and it could head 40% lower. It could head to 40 grand, let's say, potentially. It's not out of the realm of possibility for this asset. I think every 4 years it corrects about 80%. We've seen about a 65% correction so far. So it might not be done. Volatility is decreasing in Bitcoin over time. So we might expect this to be around the range of the bottom, but 40K is not outside of the realm of possibility. What we're looking at here is a chart of Bitcoin overlaid over the S&P 500. So you can see that they've almost been tracking each other very closely over the last couple of weeks. And we've just seen this kind of decoupling of the asset over the last couple of days. And off the back of Michael Saylor changing his strategy for his company's strategy. So there you go. A little fun fact: if you're into crypto, I'd almost be looking to accumulate a bit more here. I might want to wait and see, a little bit of divergence to the upside before I start taking any big bids. But at MPC, all of our clients who are interested in crypto, we've been buying pretty pretty conservatively, pretty heavily into hyperliquid. Heavily in the grand scheme of things, not much for a general crypto portfolio. We wouldn't advise you do a massive amount of your percentage of your portfolio. But we've been buying a lot of hyperliquid, around $30, and it's now up to it was up to $72. Now it's back to $68. So that's seen a major decoupling from Bitcoin in general, which in general crypto moves when Bitcoin allows it. So we've seen a bit of a decoupling due to the fact that it's a revenue producing asset. So we've been buying a lot of hyperliquid, edging into Bitcoin over time. We don't mind things like Ethereum as well, as something just to have in the portfolio, to be a bit more diversified, a bit more of a leverage play on Bitcoin, to be honest. In other news, we've seen a bit of a resurgence or a SaaS surgence, as we're calling it, in the software as a service sector. Massive moves, especially from Palo Alto Networks and CrowdStrike. We just closed out our position, yesterday and today, for the enhanced growth or leverage growth kind of part of the software survivor strategy. So that was about a 400% gain across the board, including a trim last week. Very happy with that result. We've still got 2 other positions that are live, looking like it's pretty positive for the sector. So we're feeling very optimistic. We are going to be doing a second webinar on the software survivor strategy. So please stay tuned. There's a QR code here. Feel free to scan it if you are on a desktop device and you get your phone available. Otherwise, there'll be a link in the description where you can actually sign up for the webinar. We'll be discussing, obviously, the past results, how our analysis has actually unfolded over time, and also what's next. What other software businesses are we looking at? What's being overlooked as something that was potentially going to be replaced by agentic AI? Now that doesn't really seem to be the narrative anymore. There are still a few laggards that we're looking at, so stay tuned, and we might even come out with another strategy around that as well. So definitely recommend signing up to the webinar. We'll be doing it at some point, I believe, next week. So it's a fairly quick turnaround. So don't hesitate. Sign up for the webinar. Even if you're not going to make it, you will get a link to the on-demand. So you'll be able to watch it after we actually do the live webinar as well. But that's only for people who signed up. Other than that, earnings-wise, we've got Broadcom and CrowdStrike this afternoon. We did de-risk prior to the CrowdStrike earnings, sorry, it wasn't this afternoon. It was yesterday afternoon. The results were, it's not a HP. It's not a Dell. We're not seeing 30+% gains. Relatively flat, I think, just kind of met expectations. Nothing major to report. They're just kind of, doing as expected. Lululemon is tomorrow, so keep an eye out for that. We don't have any positions in Lululemon. We haven't really looked at the stock much. But if you are in Lululemon or potentially looking at getting a position, there is the earnings report on Friday. So stay tuned for that. Other than that, sign up for the webinar. We'll be reporting. So it'll be Kai Chen and Mark Gardner on the webinar. Me on the other side of the lens, doing all the production stuff. But yeah, look, that's it for today. Other than that, I mean, what else did I miss? GDP numbers 11:30. I think I already said that. The quick update on geopolitics. Look, it's pretty standard. It's closed, or it's very limited. The amount of oil that's coming out of the Strait. Iran's threatening things, and Trump saying it's fake news. It's all pretty standard, and to be honest, I'm pretty tired of reporting on it because it's just the same stuff every day. But just a quick update is it's still The flows are definitely restricted, and no real idea of when it will end at this point. Market doesn't seem to care anyway, so what does it matter? There you go. All right, thanks everyone for listening, and hope to see you in the next one. Thanks a lot. Bye.